Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hit Sports Show live from the studio. This is the PlayGrid Sports Podcast presented by Amazon Music. I'm Kennedy Lucas. We have David Blanks back, and boy, howdy, we have a great one for you. Okay, so here's something wild. This year's NBA playoffs have seen a significant drop in scoring compared to last year, but somehow they've been more intense and dramatic than ever. It's like the league has rediscovered the beauty of grinding out possessions and playing tough physical basketball.
That's such a great way to set the stage. For years, the NBA was all about speed, spacing, and three-point shooting, but now it feels like the playoffs have hit the brakes and taken a sharp turn back toward physicality and defense. It's almost like we're watching the game evolve in reverse, but with a modern twist.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how teams like the Knicks, Cavaliers, Spurs, and Thunder have embraced this shift. They've turned the postseason into a kind of basketball laboratory, experimenting with styles and strategies that feel both old school and cutting edge at the same time.
One of the biggest trends we've seen is the move back into the paint. For so long, it felt like if you couldn't shoot threes, you didn't stand a chance. But now, paint scoring and interior play are making a huge comeback. Teams are fighting for every inch of space, and it's proving that toughness still wins championships.
It's funny because for years, people were saying defense wins championships, but it felt like that mantra was fading in the era of pace and space. Now it's like the league has collectively remembered that physicality and grit still matter. And no team has embodied that more than the New York Knicks.
Oh, the Knicks have been an absolute force this postseason. Nobody expected them to dominate the way they have. They swept Cleveland, made it all the way to the NBA Finals, and they've done it by playing this bruising, relentless style of basketball. Their defense has been suffocating, their rebounding is relentless, and Jalen Brunson has been nothing short of spectacular.
Brunson has been a revelation, no doubt about it. He's controlling the tempo, making clutch shots, and playing with this calm, unshakable confidence. It's like he's evolved into one of the most dangerous playoff guards in the league, and he's doing it on the biggest stage.
And it's not just Brunson. The entire Knicks team has bought into this identity of physicality and grit. They're dictating the style of play, and that's why Cleveland, despite all their talent, just couldn't keep up. The Cavaliers didn't lose because they were outmatched talent-wise. They lost because they couldn't handle the Knicks' pressure and intensity.
Cleveland's collapse was tough to watch, especially because they have so much talent on that roster, but the Knicks just overwhelmed them. It's like New York turned every game into a street fight, and Cleveland didn't know how to respond.
Meanwhile, out west, we've got what some people are calling the real NBA Finals, the Spurs versus the Thunder. This series has been absolutely electric, and it's showcasing two of the brightest young stars in the game, Victor Wembanyama and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh, absolutely. Wembanyama and Gilgeous-Alexander are not just stars. They're like the faces of this next era of basketball. And their teams, the Spurs and the Thunder, are showing us what the future of the NBA might look like. Long, versatile, and fearless.
Wembanyama, in particular, has been a revelation. His rim protection is unlike anything we've ever seen. Players are literally altering their entire offensive approach just because he's on the floor. It's not just about blocking shots, it's about deterring them entirely. His presence changes the geometry of the game.
It's incredible, isn't it? Wembanyama's growth during this postseason has been terrifyingly fast. He's not just a shot blocker, he's a game changer. Teams are second-guessing every move they make when he's in the paint. It's like he's redefining what it means to be a dominant big man in the modern NBA.
And then you've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's been equally impressive, but in a completely different way. His game is all about control, patience, timing, pace. He's not rushing anything. He's manipulating defenders and finding ways to break down even the toughest defenses.
Oklahoma City as a team has been so fun to watch. They're this perfect mix of elite defense, transition pressure, and emotional composure. They're young, they're fearless, and they're playing with this swagger that makes them one of the scariest teams in the league right now.
It's amazing because for years, people said defense had disappeared from the NBA, but these playoffs have completely shattered that narrative. Defense hasn't disappeared. it's evolved. It's about switching, using length to disrupt passing lanes, protecting the rim, and just making life miserable for opposing offenses.
And it's not just about stopping teams from scoring, it's about forcing them into uncomfortable shots. That's where we've seen this mid range revival come into play, with defenses taking away easy looks at the rim and chasing shooters off the 3-point line. The mid range has become a crucial weapon.
The mid-range shot is back, and I love it. It's such a lost art in today's game, but the playoffs are proving that it still has a place. Elite scorers are thriving in those in-between areas, and it's adding this layer of complexity to the game that's really fun to watch.
Honestly, the 2026 NBA playoffs feel like a turning point for the league. This is the postseason where basketball shifted direction again, away from the 3-point obsession and back toward a more balanced, physical, and versatile style of play.
And fans are loving it. The drama, the intensity, the emotional highs and lows. It's everything we love about playoff basketball. It feels more raw, more authentic, like every possession matters.
Exactly. At the end of the day, that's what makes the playoffs so special. It's not just about who can score the most points. It's about who can adapt, who can grind it out, and who can rise to the occasion when it matters most.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything. The Knicks, the Cavaliers, the Spurs, the Thunder. This postseason has been a wild ride, and it's not over yet. I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
Me neither. If this is the future of basketball, I think we're in for a treat. Here's to more defense, more physicality, and more unforgettable moments.
Absolutely. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
See you then.
'26 MLB Awards Watch. MVP, Cy Young, and more for May. When we learned during spring training about Shohei Ohtani's 2026 goal of winning the National League Cy Young Award, it was hard to know how realistic it was. From an ability standpoint, it was more than doable. On a per 162-game basis, he had averaged a 13-7 record with a 3.00 ERA, 143 ERA+, 228 strikeouts, and 5.5 B-WAR entering this season. He would have to upgrade from that, but it was a great jumping-off point. From a quantity standpoint, well, that's when questions arose. Ohtani is qualified for an ERA title just once. He pitches for the Los Angeles Dodgers, a team that has the luxury of slow playing their starting pitchers until the postseason. And there was the considerable additional factor of Ohtani, as one of the game's greatest hitters, also being an MVP-caliber designated hitter. Flash forward to now, and Ohtani has been more like a full-time rotation ace, and his results are better than ever. It's been his hitting volume that has been turned down a tad. In other words, the Cy Young objective for Ohtani is very much on the table. But the race for that honor in the NL is shaping up as a fierce one. You'll see that as we look at the 2026 award races in the first of our monthly check-ins. As we go through the early pecking order for each honor, keep this much in mind in regard to the game's best player. If Ohtani does indeed win his first Cy Young Award, there is a very good chance he'll also take home his fourth straight Most Valuable Player award. Witt has had a pedestrian start at the plate, posting a batting average and on-base percentage in line with past seasons, but with an isolated power number that's down, or at least it will be until he goes on a power tear. So why is Witt a strong early frontrunner in this category? He's just really, really good at everything. According to Fangraph's def metric, Witt has been the most valuable defender in the major leagues. He is 7th in BSR, Fangraph's bottom-line base running metric. He's a shortstop, with the positional value that goes with that designation. Add it all up, and of the 31.9 runs above replacement that Witt has put up, resulting in a 3.3 F-WAR figure that is a more than a half win better than any other AL player, only 8.2 of those runs come from batting, and his offensive numbers will almost certainly go up from here. This might be the year Witt lands his first AL MVP award, though it would help matters if the struggling Royals mount some sort of playoff push over the months to come. Kurtz's AXE has jumped from 117.3 at the end of April, and his MLB rank has leaped from 51st to 6th. Kurtz is an on-base master. His OBP over 3 years at Wake Forest was .510. He only logged 33 games in the minors, but it was .440 there. So far in the majors, he's at .404 and leads the AL at .448 this season. Kurtz also is hitting .290 as a big leaguer, which in the current league context is elite. He is not a take-and-rake hitter. Kurtz is down a bit in the power category, and while that should change, it's worth noting that his swing has been producing a lot more line drives this season at the expense of fly balls, which is why the homers are down even as his exit velocities are up. Kurtz's profile is one that plays anywhere at the top of the order. After leading off for much of the season, he has hit second or third in recent games. If this switch was made to put Kurtz in more run-producing spots, it's easy to understand. His RBI percentage, runs driven in given the number of opportunities, is among the 10 best in baseball. Keep an eye on. This awards watch catches Judge at what's likely the nadir of a down cycle that included a stretch of 11 games without a homer or an RBI. Lest we forget that this is Aaron Judge, he snapped the streak with a game-winning homer against the Tampa Bay Rays on Sunday. Despite the slump, he's still on pace to top 50 homers. It's just been a moderately bad month for Judge, one that is probably very bad news for the pitchers whom Judge will face in June. Ohtani has an easier path to winning his fourth straight MVP than he has to winning his first Cy Young. That's a strange sentence to write, and you couldn't write it about any other player, ever, but it applies here. Among NL hitters, Ohtani ranks in the top 10 to 12 in offense-only metrics such as runs created, offensive winning percentage, and OPS+. That's really good, but not at MVP level. However, when you layer on the value of a pitcher with a .73 ERA over 49 innings, it's a combination impossible to match. As for the down season for him at the plate, his percentages are similar to those of 2022, when he logged a career-high 166 innings pitched for the Angels. So maybe this is the penalty for deploying Ohtani as a full-fledged DH and a starting pitcher. Or perhaps more likely, his early hitting percentages are going to improve. If or when that happens, Ohtani's enormous early edge in the MVP race will only grow. Biggest mover. With a torrid May, Carroll has positioned himself for the third top 10 MVP finish in his 5 seasons as a big leaguer, and is for now the most likely candidate to seize the opportunity if Ohtani were to falter or turn up injured. Carroll began the month with a solid overall ranking in AX at number 39, but jumped to 5th across all of MLB after his 2 triples on Sunday. Carroll is now on pace for 25 triples. No player has had that many in 101 years. Kiki Kyler in 1925 was the last to do it.
It's kind of silly to quote paces when it comes to triples, which don't exactly accumulate in a steady, predictable way. But consider this. Not only does Carroll play home games in MLB's most triple-friendly park, per StatCast Park Factors, but including road trips to Colorado, San Francisco, and Kansas City, 65 of Carroll's 110 possible remaining games would come in 4 of the major's 5 most triple-friendly venues. A big triple total won't win you an MVP, but it is the kind of historical curiosity that turns heads, which would, in turn, call attention to Carroll's impressive overall production, not to mention his exciting style of play. Keep an eye on. The sudden maturation of Walker has been a sight to behold. If you've seen him at the plate much this season, you know it's not just a matter of a number spike. Walker simply looks like a premier hitter after 2 years, of very much not looking like one. His approach is greatly improved, fewer Ks, more walks, and his quality of contact has been elite, 98th percentile exit velocity. Walker now commands a plate appearance in a way he rarely did during his disappointing 2024 and 2025 seasons. Now Walker resembles the hitter we thought he'd be by now, back when he broke in at age 21 armed with hyperbolic scouting reports and a solid rookie season. The forecasts suggest negative regression from here, and it's not hard to understand why. His OPS plus, 176, simply doesn't track with the 89 he'd put up in more than 1,000 plate appearances entering this season. But this Walker is not that Walker. A quick reminder that a year ago at this time, only those deep into prospect lists knew who Cam Schlittler was. Now, he arguably has been the Yankees' most valuable player, especially considering the needs of New York's injury-ravaged rotation. Leading the AL in ERA, 1.50, ERA plus, 277, and WHIP, 0.864, Schlittler has shown that his electric 2025 postseason was no fluke. Dominance is the word that describes Schlittler best. His strikeouts minus walks percentage, 24.5%, ranks 4th in the majors, 1 spot ahead of Paul Skeens. When you pound the strike zone with swing and miss stuff, that's dominance.
The AL Cy Young leaderboard is pretty wild looking, but Schlittler is legit. The only question is how he might respond to what hopefully will be the highest innings totals of his young career. Last season, he threw 164 innings between the majors, minors, and the postseason. He's on pace for more than 200 this season, and that's before we get to October. Biggest mover? Every question you might have about whether the surprising White Sox are real, you can ask at the player level about Davis Martin. Nothing Martin, 29, had done to this point of his career portended what he has done over the first 2 months this season. His AL leading 7 wins match his 2025 season total. He has more than halved his ERA, 2.04, down from 4.10. And he has sliced his walks while upping his strikeout rate to the tune of 3 whiffs per 9 innings.
If there's anything that Las Vegas Raiders running back Ashton Jeanty has learned about the team's new coach, Clint Kubiak, it's that he's pretty straightforward in his demands from his players. Kubiak's expectation for Jeanty is lofty, but he knows last year's number 6 pick can handle it. He wants Jeanty to be a player who rarely comes off the field, almost similar to San Francisco 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey, who played in 83% of his team's offensive snaps in 2025. "We want to put a lot of pressure on Ashton," Kubiak said. "I don't know the play snap percentage, but you look at Christian McCaffrey, his play snap percentage is high, so those great backs, they don't want to come off the field." From the moment Kubiak became the Raiders coach in February, he knew Jeanty was going to play an integral part in the offense. Even after Las Vegas drafted former Arkansas running back Mike Washington Jr. in the 4th round, creating the assumption that Jeanty's workload would be split in half, Kubiak preached the opposite after the team's second OTA practice last Wednesday. He understands that if his offense is going to function properly, it will need more out of Jeanty after he led all rookies in rushing yards, 975, and yards from scrimmage, 1321. With a better scheme in place, improvement on the offensive line, and a year of experience under his belt, Jeanty is ready to handle the responsibility. "I want to help the team win as much as I can, and if I don't have to, I don't want to come off the field," Jeanty said. Jeanty's numbers from last year were modest, although he joined former Raiders running back Josh Jacobs as the only 2 players in franchise history to tally 1,300-plus yards from scrimmage in their rookie seasons, and was one of 3 rookie running backs with multiple games of 100-plus rushing yards in 2025. Still, the Raiders ranked as the league's worst rushing attack, coming in last in rushing yards per game, 77.5, rushing first downs, 67, and rushing touchdowns, 5, all from Jeanty. Since 2023, the Raiders are 32nd in yards per rush attempt, 3.6. It was even a grind for Jeanty to reach his regular season totals. He averaged 3.7 yards per carry, tied for 44th, and 26.7% of his attempts resulted in 0 or fewer yards. Jeanty's 639 yards after contact was the most by any NFL player in the past 20 seasons who didn't have 1,000 rushing yards. "It was a tough season, but I think there were a lot of moments where I could have been better, pushed myself and my teammates more," Jeanty said. "So going in this year, just focused on getting way better." Jeanty is ecstatic about entering his sophomore campaign. The game feels slower for him compared with a year ago, when he was getting adjusted to the NFL's fast pace. He has improved his workout routine now that he has had a true offseason. Jeanty said he has a better understanding of his diet and balancing out his schedule. He incorporated boxing in his offseason training to help him be more durable. "The biggest thing with boxing is just cardio, getting in shape, and then just reaction, hand speed, and I feel like that'll translate in pass protection," he said. Jeanty has been watching film of McCaffrey and former Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker III, who is now with the Kansas City Chiefs, to see how they were able to have success with the wide zone run scheme that Kubiak will be using in Las Vegas. Walker rushed for 1,075 yards on 221 carries for the Seahawks, with Kubiak as the offensive coordinator. With Kubiak wanting Jeanty's usage to be somewhat similar to McCaffrey's, the former Boise State standout will be heavily involved in the passing game. McCaffrey recorded at least 600 receiving yards in 6 of 9 seasons played, including 1,005 such yards with the Carolina Panthers in 2019. When Kubiak was the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints in 2024, running back Alvin Kamara averaged 6 targets in 14 games played. Last season, Jeanty caught 55 passes for 346 yards, 10th among NFL running backs, and 5 touchdowns on 73 targets. Those numbers should increase in 2026. We think we should continue to challenge Ashton and get more out of him, Kubiak said. Of course, the Raiders' expectations for Genty will be difficult to reach without consistent production from the offensive line. The Raiders were 22nd in run-block win rate in 2025, but they hope the return of left tackle Colton Miller and right guard Jackson Powers-Johnson, both of whom sustained season-ending injuries, as well as the free agent addition of center Tyler Linderbaum, could lead to better results. Kubiak also believes the teachings of offensive line coach Rick Dennison, who has extensive knowledge of the wide zone scheme, will be beneficial. Kubiak has worked with Dennison in Seattle and Denver. Dennison teaches me way more than I've ever told him, Kubiak said. His experience in this scheme, his ability as a coach to get the best out of his players, and his ability to scheme offensively. He's as good as it gets. Kubiak still expects the rookie Washington to be a factor in the offense. Las Vegas has yet to sign or trade for a veteran running back, opening the door for Washington to solidify his role as the team's second option in the backfield. I've said it before, I think it's important to have a quality second back, but the best player has got to play, and we've got to get them on the field as much as we can, Kubiak said.
Good evening, and welcome to Beyond the Diamond, your deep dive into the most captivating stories in college sports. Tonight, we're taking a look back at a season that truly felt mythological, the 2026 Georgia Bulldogs baseball campaign. At the heart of that storm stood Daniel Jackson. This wasn't just a star player, he was a phenomenon, catcher, slugger, base stealer, and the undisputed clubhouse leader. Every single at-bat felt like a major event, a moment pregnant with possibility. Opposing pitchers knew one mistake could land them on social media highlight reels, replayed a million times. Jackson didn't just put up impressive statistics, he redefined what was possible, turning Georgia into a team absolutely no one wanted to face. His sheer presence, his dynamic play, and his leadership were enough to shift the energy of an entire weekend series, making the Bulldogs a force in the incredibly demanding SEC. It was truly an unforgettable run.
That's so true, Marcus. And what made Jackson's performance even more incredible was the context. We're talking about the Southeastern Conference, which for anyone who casually watches college baseball is often severely underestimated. It's not just a conference, it's an absolute pressure cooker. Every Friday night starter you face is likely a future professional, and every road environment mimics the intensity of October baseball. The margin for error is microscopic. Lose focus for even a couple of innings, and an entire series can slip away. Jackson wasn't just piling up video game numbers against weak competition. He was dominating against elite pitching staffs, loaded with future draft picks. His presence forced teams into impossible decisions. Pitch around him and the rest of the powerful Georgia lineup punishes you, or challenge him and risk seeing the ball disappear over the outfield walls before your catcher can even stand up. It was a masterclass in aggressive yet disciplined play.
And speaking of those towering shots, Emma, there's something truly timeless about the home run in baseball. Analytics, velocity, launch angle, these things constantly evolve the game, but nothing electrifies a crowd quite like a baseball disappearing into the night sky. Daniel Jackson turned that electrifying feeling into a weekly, almost ritualistic event. His swing was this captivating blend of raw power and perfect balance. You'd hear that distinct crack of the bat, and you just knew the story before the ball even landed. Fans would leap to their feet, outfielders would instinctively stop moving, and broadcasters would raise their voices in anticipation. Georgia rapidly became one of the nation's most dangerous power-hitting teams, largely because Jackson provided this immense emotional momentum. One swing from him could irrevocably alter not just the score, but the entire energy of a series, proving that baseball, at its core, is a deeply emotional sport. Confidence truly spread like wildfire through that dugout.
It really did. And what's often overlooked in all the excitement around his bat is that Daniel Jackson did all of this while playing catcher. That's arguably the most demanding position in baseball. Catchers are constantly absorbing punishment inning after inning. They're studying hitters, managing pitchers, blocking pitches in the dirt, throwing out runners. It's an exhausting job. Most coaches would be thrilled if their catcher could just contribute offensively, let alone dominate. But Daniel Jackson decided normal expectations were simply boring. He became one of those truly rare catchers in college baseball history, combining elite power with elite speed. That pairing just breaks all traditional baseball logic. Typically, sluggers aren't burners on the base paths, and catchers are rarely stolen base threats. Jackson seemed determined to dismantle every single stereotype the sport had ever built around his position, performing at a level that was truly impossible for most.
Absolutely, Emma, and this groundbreaking play wasn't happening in a vacuum. It was magnified by the incredible atmosphere Jackson and the team created in Athens. Georgia baseball has always had history, but 2026 just felt different. There was an undeniable electricity surrounding the program. Foley Field transformed into one of the loudest, most vibrant environments in college baseball. Students packed the stands, families arrived hours early, and marquee weekends were circled on calendars like major holiday events. But the true measure of superstardom, the ultimate testament to Jackson's impact, was the silence. When Daniel Jackson walked toward the batter's box, conversation ceased. Everyone in that stadium held their breath, a collective feeling that something unforgettable was about to unfold. The Bulldogs absolutely thrived on that energy all season long, playing loose, aggressive, and completely fearless, a testament to Coach Wes Johnson's culture of confidence and accountability.
That energy, that palpable anticipation really carried them through. And it's in the postseason where weaknesses are typically exposed, where momentum swings become brutal. But Georgia refused to fold. As the SEC tournament approached, they carried immense expectations, but instead of succumbing, they played with an even deeper hunger. Jackson's leadership became as crucial as his bat. Great players produce, but great leaders stabilize chaos. Every inning in Hoover felt heavier, every pitch more significant, yet Georgia remained composed. That's the hallmark of championship-caliber baseball. Beyond that, Daniel Jackson's rise also mirrors a larger trend. College baseball has exploded nationally. Stadiums are fuller, television coverage is stronger, and fan engagement is louder than ever. Players are building personal brands while still embracing team culture, and the games themselves are incredible. It's the raw emotion of amateur sports meeting professional-level talent, and Jackson embodied that perfectly.
He absolutely did, Emma. Whether Georgia ultimately captured a national championship or not, the 2026 season already feels etched in history as unforgettable. Daniel Jackson's name is now woven into the fabric of Georgia baseball lore. It wasn't just about the staggering home runs, the impossible stolen bases, or the sheer statistical dominance. It was about the leadership, the swagger, and the unforgettable moments he created. Fans remember where they were when the stadium erupted after another moonshot. They remember the confidence that radiated from the dugout. They recall a Bulldogs team that genuinely believed the sport belonged to them. And maybe that's the real story, isn't it? It's not simply that Daniel Jackson became one of the best players in college baseball that year. It's that he helped ignite and transform Georgia baseball into a passionate, undeniable movement. It's a legacy built on feeling, noise, tension, and the electric anticipation of what might happen.